Hello, I am Tyler Armstrong. Today we're going to be talking about Ludwig van Beethoven. We're going to be talking about why and how he was so influential and why he's still so famous to this day. So the first slide says the unique talent and influence of Ludwig van Beethoven. And here we can see several depictions of him, not actual pictures of course, but paintings. Second slide says, who was Ludwig van Beethoven? Well, Ludwig van Beethoven was a German composer and pianist born in December of 1770 in the city of Bonn, who died at age 56 on March 26 in the year 1857 in Austria. We don't know the exact day that Beethoven was born, but we do know that it was sometime mid-December. Beethoven's father and grandfather were something of musicians themselves, and his grandfather was very respected throughout the city of Bonn, although his father was rumored to be a drunk, but a very talented drunk at that. Beethoven's musical family lineage inspired him to step into the world of music, and in the background there you can see a picture of the city of Bonn. How did Beethoven rise to fame? Around 1780, the city of Bonn was transformed from a small town into a city with culture, resources, and promise. The archbishop at that time also was able to put a university in the city of Bonn. And then in 1782, Beethoven began to be tutored by a man named Neath, and a year later, Ludwig was playing at the opera. Very impressive. He would have been around 11 at that time, I believe, or 12. By 1787, Beethoven was sent to Austria to be trained by no other than Mozart himself, who was said to be very impressed by young Beethoven and predicted that he would be very famous, which he obviously was. And to the right, you can see a picture of Mozart. The rise and fall and rise again. So Beethoven's path to fame wasn't always very easy. Unfortunately, Ludwig's mother fell ill and he was forced to return to his hometown of Bonn, where he stayed for several more years. Mozart then died sometime later, and Beethoven studied piano and music with Joseph Haydn, who is said to be one of the greatest composers alive at the time. Joseph Haydn also studied alongside Mozart, so Beethoven was very fortunate and lucky to be able to study alongside him as well. Beethoven continued making music, but did not have his official debut until March 29th in the year 1795, and he would have been about 25 years old at the time, which, again, very impressive. And then to the left, we can see a painting of Joseph Haydn himself. So a closer look into the talent of Ludwig van Beethoven. One of Beethoven's earliest pieces that he composed was called 9 Variations on a March. Ludwig would have been only 11 years old when this piece was published. I've said it before and I'll say it again, very, very impressive. Beethoven also had to leave school around this time due to his family's financial situation, but luckily he was able to continue practicing on writing music. And over here we can see a young man, maybe around Beethoven's age at the time that the music was composed and released, playing the harpsichord, and that instrument was very, very popular back then, so it probably was played on that at the time. And then above that video we can see the score of 9 Variations on a March. You can hear the piece has sort of a bouncy feel to it. It's very good for being written by an 11-year-old. Now let's talk about Beethoven's disability. In his 20s, Beethoven began losing his hearing. By the time Beethoven was in his late 40s, his hearing had gone completely. As one can imagine, this was very, very devastating for him. He was broken up about it, to say the least. Beethoven was incredibly self-conscious and bitter about this disability. Beethoven wrote a letter to a friend in which he told him he led, quote, a miserable life, and told him that he might be able to cope with it if it were not for his profession. Very bad luck that he had hearing issues and was a musician. Due to being hearing impaired, Ludwig van Beethoven avoided social outings. However, he did not let his disability stop him from composing music. Ludwig composed some of his most popular pieces in the last decade of his life when he was completely hearing impaired, completely deaf. It's incredibly impressive. I don't know how someone could do that, but he did. Beethoven's art. So, in total, Beethoven created 9 symphonies, 1 opera, 5 piano concertos, 32 piano sonatas, and more. One of Beethoven's most popular pieces, known commonly today as Fiordalise, was written in 1810. This piece was written in A minor. The notes and the piano flow smoothly as we hear a gradual but repetitive increase in tempo and volume in the beginning, but it is always drawn back in with a decrescendo and a slow decrease in tempo, as we can hear. The slight increase in tempo, and then it gets a little bouncy. So fun fact, Fiordalise means for Elise. And another fun fact, Beethoven would have been at least partially deaf at the time that he wrote this. So again, very impressive. And then up above the video that we are listening to, we can see the score of Fiordalise. The influence of Beethoven. Even though Beethoven's public performances became less and less by the year 1814, likely due to his hearing loss, as I said before, he was very self-conscious about it. His music, as well as his performances, were of great popularity. Beethoven's music is still popular to this day, not only because he was so talented, but because his art is said to mark the end of the classical period of music and symbolize the beginning of the Romantic period. So all in all, Beethoven was very talented, very, very influential, and just one of the greatest composers of all time, without a doubt. And then here we have my works cited. I was able to get a few videos off of YouTube, as well as some information from these articles right here. Thank you very much for listening.